Hey folks, Jay here. Welcome back to the homestead. Today we're going to do the 50-hour service on our Bobcat CT2535. That's what we got going on today. All right, everybody. This is the first time I've done this. So on this machine, I've been a mechanic my whole life, so this is going to be a little bit of a learning curve, but we're going to walk you through the 50-hour service. 50-hour service includes engine oil change, hydraulic oil change and filters, and also the front axle oil. So we're going to do those three things today. 50-hour service is probably the most important service you can do because this is the break-in period. This is when all the metals and all the gears and everything is breaking in. You want to clean, you want to get rid of that oil right after 50 hours because everything's all, especially the hydrostatic tractors, you can get little pieces of metal and machinery in there just from everything breaking in. This is the break-in period, much like a car, boat, generator. The first 50 hours is critical. So again, engine oil, hydraulic oil. This is a hydrostatic tractor, so the oil that actually operates the loaders and all your remotes and stuff is the same oil that powers the transmission to move the machine around. This doesn't have a standard transmission like a car. The hydrostatic hydro oil is all one thing, and then the front axle oil. So let's do some specifications, some filter numbers, because a lot of times that's what people are looking for. So let's do that right now, and then we'll hop right into it. Now, like I said, this is the Bobcat CT2535. This is equipped with the Daedong 1.8, I could be saying that wrong, sorry, 1.8 liter 3-cylinder diesel. And then again, this is the 2535 Bobcat CT compact tractor. Now let's get into the filter part numbers, and after this segment here I will put a picture visually with the filter numbers in case you don't want to listen, you'd rather read and write it down. So let's do that right now, and then we'll get right into it. All right folks, this is right from Bobcat. I called the family friend of ours, my cousin Philip, who works at Bobcat, where we got this machine, and this came right from the text. So oil 1540 6.3 quarts, oil filter number 7384298. I'm going to put all this right after this clip visually so you can see. Front axle 80W-90 6.3 quarts, hydrostatic filters 6695918, that's filter number 1, there's 2, and then 737560, that is your hydrostatic hydraulic filters. And that is, capacity of the transmission is 5.8 gallons of hydro fluid. And then the air filter is part number 6666333. So we're going to do all of those today, plus a fuel filter I think we have in the kit. So let's roll it into the oil. For those of you who maybe not mechanically friendly, let me just point you out basic parts of the tractor here. Battery, check. Air filter, check. These are your radiators, various cooling apparatuses. This has AC in it, which is very nice on hot days like today. So you have your radiator screens, all your cooling stuff in the front. Then you get up top here, you have all your belts and pulleys, your alternators, things of that nature. Very tight quarters here. On the left side of the motor here, you have your fuel filter with your fuel water separator here at the bottom, your engine oil filter, which we're going to drop momentarily. This is all fuel related systems on this side. And now let's go over on this side. Real simple starter, really easy to work on. Your exhaust and all that garbage associated with that. You have your exhaust canister up there, and then obviously it runs out, boom. There's a cartridge in there, which we're not going to get to right now. I don't believe we have to clean it, but I'll have to double check my manual. So pretty straightforward, folks. And obviously your radiators here, never open that when it's hot. So yeah, let's go ahead and first things first. Oh, this thing's making oil. I'm gonna leave this out just a little bit, and now we're gonna go underneath and crack the drain plug. Conveniently is your oil fill plug. which is in a terrible spot if you ask me, but hey, listen, I didn't design this tractor here. So we're gonna go ahead, wipe this off with a rag, crack that open, and then we're gonna crack that drain plug at the bottom, and all this oil. You wanna bet this loosens up by hand. Very surprised. So I'm gonna take this cap off. Now that looks like some engine oil, and we're gonna now go underneath. All right, folks, so underneath the tractor here, and as you can see, we have 2 drain bolts right here at the bottom of our oil pan here. So let's go ahead and get the appropriate wrench, crack those both open, and then we will drain the petrol out of it. As you, oh, it's got a split, that's interesting. It's got a split oil pan because you have your, looks like, yeah, your mid PTO shaft, or excuse me, your drive axle here is running through there. So that's pretty neat design. They split the pan so they can get the drive axle through. That's neat. I've never seen. So this being a Korean motor, that drain plug, 17 millimeter. Let's go ahead and crack both of those. Okay, 17 millimeter on there, good and snug. Oh, this thing's making oil. All right, crack them free. That split case is very interesting stuff. Oh, clean petrol. Nice and hot too. Petrol. One grievance I have, I do not like how they run. What the hell? These are cooler lines. They run the cooler lines tight against this oil filter here. I get it, but I'm not really a fan. So let's go ahead and 1, 2, 3. Oh my goodness. Holy shit. Oh boy. I'm not kidding, folks. That thing is friggin' on there. Holy moly. There's the petrol. Those Koreans must be ripped. Okay. You missed it in the beginning if you want to use a factory part here. Here's a Daedong oil filter. I'm sorry about that. E6201-32443 if you don't want to use the number I gave you in the beginning. All right, so good tip. We power washed our machine before we started anyways. But there's, you always want to just clean off that housing there. Make sure there's no dirt in there, make sure there's no gasket in there. Should be good for the new one. Rawr. All right, folks, let's have a genuine look. Bobcat, one tough animal. Made in Korea. Bobcat. Genuine Bobcat parts. Quantity 1. Oil filter. Numbers there if you need it. I've given you 3 different oil filter numbers by now. It's okay, just pick one. Wow, would you look at that. Beautiful. All right, so it's always a good thing. Take the one you took out, compare it to the new one. It's pretty much apple to apple. Make sure you're replacing what actually came out of it. So you don't want to make this mistake. take this plastic off here, put some oil on this O-ring, then we'll thread the sucker back on. Some guys, you can write on here the next service. We can do that at the end because we can get at it. But if you're going up underneath or whatever, depending on your equipment, it doesn't hurt to write down the hours of the next service that needs to be done, which we'll do at the end here. I gotta check the book. I think it's every 100 hours for an oil change. I don't know, I'll look. Right, so like I said, take your new filter. We took off, obviously, the plastic there. You don't want to leave that on. I usually just do a cap full of oil. That's usually, generally speaking, enough. And obviously have a glove on or whatever. Wrap, just rub the oil around that O-ring here. That's pretty much all you need to do. If this filter goes vertically on machines, you can fill this. You can pre-fill this earlier, just so you don't have a sudden drop in oil pressure. Not that it's a big deal, but if you got a vertical oil filter, go ahead and fill this first. But if you don't, you have a side mount here, just go ahead and oil that oil the O-ring either way. But for this case, we'll just we're not going to pre-fill this because once we turn it, it's all going to spill out. And that factory filter was on there. Like I said, I think He-Man himself tightened that thing. That thing was on there, very tight. So we're gonna go ahead and just get this started. Get it started, hand tighten it all the way down to where it stops. Where it just, the gasket just touches. All right, so now we're there. Now what we're gonna do is, now that we wipe the oil off of it, this is debated. Some people go half a turn from seat, some people go full turn. Again, just tighten it. You don't have to overdo it. So what I like to do is, so there's some wording here that's lining up with this nipple here, so that's my start point. So all I'm gonna do is go pretty much 3/4 of the way around. It says it right there, minimum half to 3/4 of a turn max. So where's my writing? My writing is down here, where my finger is. I started here, so that'd be 12, 3, 6, 9. That's pretty much 3/4 of a turn, just for kicks. Let's get it, let's give it a quick check. Yeah, that's plenty. That's not going anywhere. So let's tuck these back here, grab our rag here, and wipe it. I'm gonna show you another quick tip. A little tip. See this little piece of metal here? What I'm gonna do is draw a big fat yellow Sharpie mark right here. And then I'm gonna color this yellow too. All right. So you see how those two lines line up? So at a quick visual glance, you can see the engine oil filter even when the hood's down. So at a quick glance, I know that this is tight. It's not going anywhere. This is just a little overkill. But if for some reason this line doesn't line up with that, that means your oil filter is backed off. I've never ever had that happen, but I still do this to this day. It just gives me peace of mind when you hop on the machine. Take a quick look. Yellow, yellow, we're all lined up. Nothing's loosened up. A lot of people actually do that with lug nuts. They'll do a mark on the lug nut and then on the rim, just to see that if your lug nuts have loosened up, you'll see that those lines aren't going to line up anymore. Just OCD, but it's a nice little trick. Okay, so that's dry. Oil the O-ring, 3/4 of a turn tight, and we got our yellow marks here. So that concludes our oil filter. We're going to write what our next service is at the very end. I don't know, I got to check the book, so we'll do that at the end. All right, so now it's a known fact, if you work with anti-seize, you will have this stuff everywhere. This stuff just gets, no matter what you're doing, this stuff makes an absolute mess. So what we're going to do is, we're going to take our 2 drain plugs, because we have that split case, which is pretty neat. We're going to clean them off, right? Clean up the threads, nice and clean. Inspect our washer. Can you change these? Sure, some people do. I had my Chevy Malibu I had 175,000 miles, did every oil change, never changed the little gasket there, and never had a problem. So to each their own. But what you want to do is put a little bit of Never Seize on the threads here. Generally speaking, on motors, you have steel plugs, aluminum pans, or steel pans, aluminum plugs. Generally speaking, the metals aren't the same. If you've ever stripped out an oil pan bolt, that's not fun. So same thing on our second one here. We already cleaned it for the sake of the video here. Put a little Never Seize on it. Goes a long way. So these are ready to go. Back installed. Don't over tighten it, folks. It ain't going anywhere. It's an oil bolt, not a friggin' lug nut. So let's go put those bolts again, you don't have to go ballistic. These are drain bolts, not lug nuts. Should be good and tight there. I'm sure there's a torque setting, probably inch-pounds, but I've never had an issue in all my years of being a mechanic, which is what I do. Bing, bada boom. Drain plugs are back in, anti-seize, nice and tight. Because of OCD, just gonna give it a quick check. Yep, quick check. Good to roll. Let's add some oil. So this is just me, and you can use whatever you want, but I like the Rotilla heavy duty engine 1540 diesel engine oil. I use this on my Kubota. I've used this on this. My friend who runs a diesel shop, he runs it in all his equipment, all his Duramaxes and all his Dodges there with the Cummins there. So this is the oil I use. You can use what you want, I don't really care, but make sure you get the correct weight, and generally speaking, get a oil that's rated for diesel engines. Diesel engines take an absolute beating. The internals are a lot beefier than a gas motor, so make sure you don't cut corners. Get yourself a good oil. All right, so we got our clean funnel in there. We got a bungee up and around holding that in there. So let's go ahead and slowly add. I like to add 1 quart first. Wait a minute, check underneath, check for any leaks around our oil filter here or our drain bolts before you go dumping in 6 quarts of oil. So start with 1 quart real quick, check for leaks. This thing's making oil. So we put 1 quart of oil in. I don't see any active dripping anywhere. Obviously, once it's running and there's more pressure, we would know a different story, but it doesn't hurt to put a quart in first and just double check around the machine. Check your drain bolts, your oil pan bolts, and the filter housing, just to make sure. So we got no leaks, so let's go ahead and put the recommended amount. What did I say it was? Hold on a second here. I said in the beginning of the video, I apologize here. It is 1540, 6.3 quarts. So let's put in 6 quarts, so that'll be a gallon and 2 quarts, 4 and 2 and change. Very good. Start with the gallon. All right, so now we're going to put our oil fill cap back on. Again, put a little oil. You don't necessarily need never seize on this, but put a little oil on that gasket there. Move these wires out of the way. I don't give you much room here to get this started here. Oh, the pressure of being on camera. Oh my goodness, what's happening here? Oh, there it is, folks. Tighten that down. Nice and snug. Okay, that's pretty much sealed. Give that a quick double check. Hands are a little slick here, so we're just gonna give that one final tighten here with that O-ring. We don't want any debris or any crap getting in our motor there, any dust. So that looks pretty good. So make sure that's good and tight. You don't want any sand or dust getting. All right, so that's good. Where is it? That's good and tight. This is all tight. No active dripping on the bottom. What I like to do now is pull. Oh man, this thing's making oil. Pull our pans out. Now we're gonna start it, because if we have a leak, I want it to be very obvious that we have a leak. I almost forgot. Before we do that, I know I put 6.3 quarts in, but seeing is believing, folks. Oh man, that thing's making oil. Just about right up to the mark there. So let's run it, then we'll let it sit, and then we'll check it again. Yeehaw. All right, here goes nothing. folks, I think that's a wrap. I'm gonna probably break this up into individual videos because certain people may need just the oil change, may need the hydraulic fluid, may need the axle oil. So that concludes the oil change. Again, 1540 Rotilla oil, 6.3 quarts. We ran it, we rechecked it, everything looks good, everything's happy, no leaks, filters are hot, filters are dry, no leaks underneath. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So thanks for watching. Little maintenance goes a long way. Make sure too, very important, you write on the oil filter the next hour interval for an oil change for a quick visual, if you can see it. And also write in your logbook, right up under the hood, right up somewhere, keep track of the maintenance that you've done on this machine. I'm gonna write it in the back of the owner's manual. There's a few sheets in there with service logs. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think. Thing purrs like a cat, which it is. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and clean up. And in the next video, I'll put a link to it here when it's up. We're gonna do the front axle oil. So join me for that if you wanna see. We're gonna do that right now as soon as I'm done cleaning up. So thanks for watching, guys. God bless. That's the oil change on the Bobcat. This is part 1 of the 50-hour service, which is the oil change. So stay tuned for part 2 and 3, which is the hydro oil and the gear front axle. We're gonna do the front axle next, and then we're gonna do the hydrostatic. So yeah, see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. God bless.